Today, we're going to make Pandesal. Hello my friends, and welcome to Tom's Tinkering and Adventures. Yes, Pandesal. It's a Filipino bread roll. So I grew up in the Midwest in a very small town. Grew up on a farm, and now I live in San Diego. And one of the things I like about living in a bigger city is that I get exposed to a lot of different food. Yeah, I like to eat. And Filipino food is pretty interesting to me. And of course I do like to make bread. I have a lot of bread recipes on my channel, so check them out. And I've been interested in trying some different breads. And the one I'm going to try to make today is Pandesal. It is sort of a sweet roll, bread roll. So let's see if we can't figure out how to make it here. I've got a bunch of stuff already set up here. And I will walk you through the steps. Okay, to get us started here, I got some milk. I've warmed this up about a minute in the microwave here. You can warm it up on the stove. Hopefully you can, there you go, about 100 degrees. And to that, I'm adding 2 1/4 teaspoons of yeast. So we don't need that in there anymore. Now it's all covered in yeast. And I'm going to add a couple teaspoons, 2 teaspoons of sugar. This is really just to activate the yeast. And you just stir that in until it's dissolved. Okay, after the yeast and milk is mixed up, you set that aside for 5 or 10 minutes. It should develop a little bit of foam on the top of it to show that it's activated. Now I'm using instant yeast, which you really don't even need to do that step with it. That's called yeast proofing. You don't have to do it if you use instant yeast, but I showed you anyway. So now we are making a flour mixture here. What I have is 3 cups of all-purpose flour. And 1 1/2 cups of bread flour in the bowl here. To that I'm adding 1.5 teaspoons of salt, whatever your favorite salt might be. And you can just whisk that all together. Now here's something I don't use all the time because I make a lot of no-knead bread recipes, but I'm using my KitchenAid stand mixer here. Got the bread hook installed. And I won't show you too much of this because sitting here listening to it is not overly exciting, but I'm just gonna get you going here. Now here's the yeast mixture. As you can see, it's already got some foam going on it. Pour that in there. And to that, I am going to add 3 tablespoons of softened butter. It's been sitting out here. 1/3 of a cup of sugar. And 2 eggs. Let me beat these up a little bit here first and we'll throw them in there. Voila! Eggs are in. Okay, I'll lift this thing up. Okay, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be adding this flour. Let me back you up a little bit here. Adding this flour that we mixed up, this 4 1/2 cups of flour. I'm going to add it in a couple of steps, 3 steps or so. So add about 1/3 at a time with this thing running on low speed until it's mixed. And then once it starts getting mixed up, then you put it on about medium speed until the dough starts to look kind of smoothish. And it'll form into a ball. So what I'll do is I'm going to get this started, and then once everything's mixed up, I'll show you a couple seconds of footage of the exciting mixer going to town, because yeah, it's not the most exciting part of the whole process here. That'll give you a headache if you watch it for too long. So it's been mixing a couple of minutes. And it hasn't quite come together yet, so we'll let it go a little bit more and I'll show you what it looks like. There we go. Pretty well mixed up. So what I've got now is I have another bowl. I put some olive oil in it. You could put Crisco, cooking spray, whatever you'd like in there. And I'm going to, hopefully, transfer this into here. And then we're going to cover it with plastic wrap, and then we're going to let it sit for, I don't know, about an hour or so. So we'll see you back then. It's been just over an hour. And you see the bread is risen a bit. You should be able to put your finger in there, and it should leave an indentation. That's how you know that it's pretty well ready. And then all you got to do is just punch it down. That basically knocks the air out of it. And then we're going to put some flour down on our countertop. I like to use this little strainer or whatever it is. Let's see if we can't get that out of there. There we go. And what we need to do is divide this up into rolls now. So the best way to do that is to go ahead and use a, grab this here real quick. There we go. I wasn't ready. A scale. If you want to make them all perfect. Now I'm not going to worry about it too much. We're going to make 24 rolls out of this, so I'm going to cut it in half. And ideally, even at this point, you can just weigh it. Here, let's check it just to see how close we are. Why not? We got this out. Let's see what happens here. So that's 1 pound, 5.1 ounces. Yeah, that's actually fairly close. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take each one of these and divide it in half again, and then divide each of those pieces into 6. Once I have the rolls divvied up here, I'll bring you back and show you the next step. So what I ended up doing is I divided the dough ball in half, then I divided each half into half again, and then half again. That gives me 8. I wanted to make 24 rolls, so I need to make 3 out of each one of these. So I kind of just been forming them into kind of a log, Twinkie, and then doing my best to try to get an even third of a cut, but I am not the best at that. So there's gonna be some bigger, some smaller. Depends on how picky you are. And then I just kind of roll them over underneath and make a nice little ball, set them aside. That's all you gotta do, just roll the edges underneath them. Imagine that, they're called rolls. Ain't they pretty? So the next step you're gonna do after you get them all rolled out into the balls is you're gonna take some breadcrumbs. I just put them in a bowl here. And then you're going to roll the top of the roll in the breadcrumbs and then place it on the pan. All right, so I'll show you once I get them all rolled and put on there. And here you can kind of see the size disparity. I wasn't the most careful at getting them all equal, but there you have it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna cover this for about 15-20 minutes. I'm gonna preheat the oven to 350 at about, like I said, 15-20 minutes of letting them rest. Then we're gonna put them in the oven. Okay, they've been resting here in the oven. They're gonna go for 20 to 25 minutes at 350 degrees. We'll see you back. 20 minutes, I put them in for 22 minutes. Oh my goodness, look at those things. They look amazing. And like I said, there's a couple bigger ones, a couple smaller ones here. All together, nice golden brown top. We'll let them cool for just a bit, and then we're going to taste test them. All right, let's give one of these a try. How about this little one here? There we go. Oh, they're nice and soft. And they're still pretty warm. I couldn't wait. They just smell so good. Oh, Amazing. Super soft. Nice texture on the outside. Mm. Mm. Just slightly sweet. Not quite like a Hawaiian bread roll. So just a hint of sweetness in them, but really good, man. I hope I don't eat this whole tray of them myself here. So I need to contact some friends and make sure they get some of these, because otherwise I'll eat the whole thing. So there you have it, homemade Pandesal. Pretty simple, very delicious. Thank you very much for watching. Get out there and find your adventure. Adios.